Welcome to Secrets from the Saddle podcast. I'm Sylvie Dow, your host, fellow cyclist, bike club founder, cycling coach, bike race junkie, just truly super passionate about cycling. My journey with cycling started 20 years ago when I opened a spin studio, started a women's race team, and founded a women's only cycling club called Cycle Fit Chicks. I'm super thrilled to reveal all aspects that make the world of cycling operate. I'm so excited to be able to bring you interesting people from around the world, pro cyclists, recreational cyclists, coaches, event organizers, bike shop owners, everything and everyone you need to know or ever wondered about when it comes to cycling. I know you'll enjoy this episode. All right, everybody, welcome back for another episode of Secrets from the Saddle, All Things Cycling podcast with your host, Sylvie Dow. And we have the entrepreneur, Michael Folan, of the president and CEO of Infinit Nutrition. Now, if you've been an athlete or have been to any kind of cycling event, now mostly gravel, mountain biking, I'm sure you might have come across Michael. He's predominantly in the United States. We are working at getting him up here in Canada, but he created this company 15 years ago with a goal of to create an isotonic, that's right, isotonic product, an all-in-one solution that contains everything an athlete needs in a lightly flavored drink. He is also a 10-time IRONMAN finisher, cancer survivor, and he is here to talk to us all about his product, which I have to mention before I bring him out, that I met him 2 years ago at Barry Roubaix, just in passing, with Will from Floyd's, thank you. Floyd's of Landis. And he had a booth this time. And so I was able to actually sit and chat with him, grab some products, and I use them. And I don't usually use products on race day that are new, but I used his meal replacement. It was a meal replacement, like a high calorie meal replacement shake. Not shake. You're going to have to explain it. But anyways, yeah. I used it. I loved it. And he's going to help me out with Unbound. And I'm super excited, Michael, to have you on the podcast.
Thank you, Sylvie. Nice to see you again. Yeah, we met up at the race. We kind of said hi to each other. And what Infinit does really in a nutshell is it puts everything in your bottle and you just drink your stuff and ride your bike. That's as complicated as we get. We're putting all your calories, all your electrolyte, and that isotonic thing just means that you have no belly problems. And we can put a bunch of calories and a bunch of salt in a bottle, still keep the flavor down, because traditionally most drinks are way too sweet. And with Infinit, you can customize it. A lot of our athletes go real low flavor, high calorie, high salt. And then, your whole day is pretty much just worrying about keeping your bike upright, as opposed to the chemistry experiment, which we all do out there. I see people rolling in and eating pasta, and I'm like, guys, there's easier ways to do this. So
what?
we just kind of like, we're the company for idiots, that's what we always do. It's just like, we're the company for very simple people. We don't like to think about a lot. I like drinking my stuff and riding my bike. And it's just hard to screw what we do up, I think.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. And as an athlete and competitor, using pasta way back in the day, I do love something that is really high and dense in calories, because you need it, because you're putting out so much energy. But before we get to all those great details, which I know everybody is excited to hear about, I'd love to ask Michael, how did you get into cycling, becoming an Ironman athlete, and then deciding to create a company that's nutritionally based for other athletes?
All right. Well, because there is my Canadian audience. So I was a hockey player growing up.
We love you already.
Yeah. So, seriously, I was a kid from Ohio. My dad played at Yale and Exeter. So he was in East Coast. So I started skating when I was 3-4, moved to Ohio, and was a, pretty good hockey player, played in Canada in the summers and did all that fun stuff. And then after played at Ohio State so I quit hockey for a while, picked up lacrosse, and then I picked hockey back up when I went to Ohio State playing on the club team. So after that period, I went through about 15 years of smoking 2 packs a day. I mean, I stopped the athletics completely. And when I was probably 32, I started running again. And because I was wrestled and I was always fit and a jock, and just said, this is stupid. So I stopped all that. And then,
Who was the person who introduced you to cigarettes, anyways?
oh, my mom and dad both smoked. So
Oh, I
yeah,
see. All right.
it was a cultural thing. It's Ohio, come
Mhm.
on.
Yeah, I
And
get
yeah, so at 32, started running and found out, hey, I'm pretty good at this. I actually can, I ran a 15K still smoking, and I was looking for Joe Camel because I'm pretty sure that I would have won the smokers division that day. I had a good day. And then I saw Alcatraz triathlon on
Oh, yeah.
TV, and I'm like, that looks obsessive compulsive.
Yeah, let's
I'm
go.
all over that. So the very first bicycle I ever bought was a Pinarello Treviso Italian bike. It was probably 54, so it was way too small for me. I put some yellow profile bars on it and had grip shifts. I remember that on that particular first tri bike. So then I started learning how to swim. I never swam a lap and really not done much bike riding. And my first race was Muncie Half Endurathon. Just jumped in, and that was 91,
Oh, yeah.
90, something like
Uh-huh.
that. And was pretty much full go, Ironman racing, did Hawaii twice, 97 and 2004, ran a bunch of marathons. So triathlon really, for me personally, kind of gave the ability to me to fix myself at that moment. And like a lot of triathletes, we all should be in a 12-step program, pretty much. But triathlon and that focus on endurance and just, the cleansing quality of just going kicking your own ass for 6 hours on a bike
Oh,
is,
yeah.
it's very awesome. And yeah, so
Some
that was
would think
that.
so, yeah.
Well, those of the considering the audience I'm probably talking to now, this is the group that all thinks that if one's good, then three has to be better. It's
Yeah.
the typical endurance athlete, right? It's just they're different.
So did you now you went from university
Mhm.
to 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 competition
No,
as
I
a
went from university to working for about, if I moved to Nashville, was in the radio business.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah. So I was working at a radio station, Y107 in Nashville, Tennessee, and then moved back to Cincinnati and was in the banking business for about 10 years.
Holy.
Infinit started really at the very end of my iron. Well, if you get into the industry, it's difficult to maintain your athletics when you're in the business. It's very
Hmm. Yeah.
hard to still race and start a company. So Infinit was started right at tail end, and it was the byproduct of me, a good friend of mine by the name of Mike Kaiser. We're on our way down to Hawaii, and he had the idea of like, hey, I want to do a company where we custom make drinks for endurance athletes. And it's just one of those aha moments that, me as a banker and also as an Ironman guy, I'm like, yeah, I get it. I think that has a lot of legs. Let's go for it. So really that's where it
Right.
started, was on a plane down to Hawaii. And then we did about a year of planning and met with Joe Friel down
Oh
there.
my gosh,
And
really?
yeah, it was incredible. So I'm talking with Joe, and I just called him out of the blue. I'm like, Joe, would you meet with me? And of course, Joe, being the guy Joe is yeah,
Yeah.
sure. And so I met him at Starbucks in Kona, and I met Dirk at that point too. And I told him what we were thinking about doing, and his quote to me was, "It's a great idea, and I can't believe that nobody's done it yet." So, I'm walking out of Starbucks down there with my feet not touching the ground at all.
Yes, seriously.
Yeah,
Floating.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
And then so had a good relationship with Mark Allen for about 10 years too. Mark was a big advocate for Infinit for a long time. and was lucky to have some really good just mentors and advocates. Alan from Head Sweats, guys that kind of helped me along. And then the Ironman scene was really different back in the 2000s than it is now. It's changed just so much since then. But it was, the expo was kind of a traveling circus. I went from town to town. We all knew, Mark from the wheel guy, and we had all the little guys would just, it was kind of consistent, but it was really fun. It was a great period to go and do expoing at Ironman for sure.
Yeah, well, I never did an Ironman, but I did. Oh, hold on, everybody's coming in. Hey. Oh, okay. Yeah, no, everybody's coming back from our long weekend.
Nice.
Yeah, no, I tried a triathlon twice,
Mhm.
and back actually in 99, so it was very close to, and I decided that it wasn't for me. So I went into adventure racing. So instead of
Mhm.
having three events, I just, jumped into four or five.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, this is, I think I've arrived. And, but nutrition was a big thing back. Well, it was tough to figure it out. Back when they had like
Yeah.
power bars.
Oh yeah.
And
Malt,
yeah,
apple
yeah,
cinnamon. That was it. Malt and apple cinnamon. Those are your only two choices.
yeah, exactly. And it stuck like you'd
Oh
stick
yeah.
it literally pieces to your bike. Um, but so you went with Joe Friel, and God,
Mhm.
I've had him on the podcast a couple of times. He is a really
Oh,
cool guy.
yeah, he's really cool.
Um, yeah. And so did you decide? So I know it was like an idea, but did you decide because like you were either having like nutritional challenges when you were competing? Like, was this kind of out of something that you guys were experiencing, or was it just like, hey, let's create this kind of company?
It was both. It really was
Right.
both. I mean, there was just a definite need. And I did adventure racing. I did a lot of mountain bike racing. I rode crits. I rode road racing. I mean, I
Cool.
ended up doing more Ironman than
Yeah.
anything. Um, but I think it was much more a combination really of those two things, which is that
Uh-huh.
there's a real need there. And with any nutrition company out there, they're trying to sell you their system. It's a combination, most of them. There's a couple of them now
Mm-hmm.
that are a little different, but most of them you got to use eat this, take this gel, drink this, and it's almost impossible to manage what's going on inside of your gut.
Yeah.
And at the
Mm-hmm.
end of the day, it's what you can process. All the pretty pictures and marketing information that doesn't help you 10 hours in when your stomach, you feel like you're bloated out and it's just ugh. So
Yeah.
it's really a combination of we don't most of our athletes really don't have that. If they have problems, it's generally not with nutrition.
Right. It's already existing or
It's something
a long
else.
term something. Yeah.
Something else. And Um, the business model is really secondary. I think that we just tried to put as simple a platform as we could in front of folks that let them do their own thing. Everybody's different. Everybody wants different flavor levels, different flavor, needs different amount of calories, different levels of electrolyte. We
Mm-hmm.
use we use protein as an appetite suppressant. So if you're somebody doing a, 2 hour, 3 hour sprint type of event, you're not going to eat protein for that. So we
Yeah.
save protein for the unbound type of races of the world. So um yeah, and caffeine's the other thing that we enjoy playing with quite a bit because certain people do really well with caffeine and other people don't do very well with caffeine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I remember my first adventure race and my tongue must have been this big, cankers all over it. And you just say sugar, 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 sugar. And then
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God, we got to figure something else out because I cannot do this like for 36 hours. And also, like with gut issues. So that's basically like you're saying, this was kind of like your experience as well, where you're like, okay, we need to create something that has all the nutritional components uh, to, to get the maximum. So it's not just straight sugar.
Yeah,
No, you got everything
exactly.
in
And
there.
we're not hummingbirds. And that's some of the crazy. some of the crazy stuff I see coming out now with they're loading 90 to 125 grams of carbohydrate per hour into people. That is a monster. I mean, that's a half a cup of sugar an hour.
Yeah.
That's I mean, I think that works probably for some people, but that's a
Mm.
lot. I think that the industry right now is kind of going in a very strange direction.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just working with athletes, generally athletes, the simpler you keep things, the better you're going to execute and the better you're
Yeah.
going to you just will. I mean, for what you're doing, consistency throughout the day, being able to not have the peaks and valleys,
Yeah.
when you eat something, you're kind of you can be a hot mess for about 15-20 minutes. And if you can just be very specific with your liquid nutrition, you don't really get those peaks and valleys anymore. And I think that just puts a lot less stress on your body.
Yeah. So would now when did you create the company? You said it's
2004.
2004. Okay.
Mhm.
So obviously you've evolved over the years in your products. How many products did you start with back then?
One, which was just a custom, you could pick your flavor. So technically infinite, right? Hence the
Mhm.
name, infinite number of variations. But we had three flavors: fruit punch, orange, and lemon lime. And then you could adjust the flavor level, the calorie level, the type of
Oh,
carbs. So you could actually adjust the glucose, increase the glucose with the carb slider. So if you were a sprint distance athlete, you go a little higher glucose. And if you're more of an endurance person, it's more maltodextrin. Electrolyte, which is a combination of sodium, potassium, calcium, and magnesium. We use chlorides, a sodium chloride, because it just tastes way better.
mm-hmm.
I'm a cook too, and if you were making a really good pasta sauce, you wouldn't do it with a sodium citrate, because sodium citrate has got a very sort of neutral, it's not salty like chloride is, like
Right.
Himalayan pink salt, how delicious that is.
Yeah.
That's really an important component of a really good sports drink late in the day when what you're doing, okay?
Right.
Everything's driven by salt.
Uh-huh.
Flavor wise, it's not sweet. You're not craving cupcakes and sweet stuff and candy out there. You're craving pepperoni pizza, Fritos, your potato chips, salt and vinegar potato chips.
Mm,
I mean, you want salt. And so Infinite definitely is a salt forward product. You can taste the salt there.
yeah.
And while being shocking kind of the beginning, 10 hours, 15 hours in, salt is what just makes you crush it. So it's that salt flavor makes you drink more. And I think that helps the whole thing, because some drinks you just can't drink them. They're too
Yeah.
sweet. When they
Yeah.
get
Yeah.
warm, they're absolutely undrinkable.
Yeah, that's right. It's funny that you were saying pizza because I plan on bringing one with me.
I hope there's pepperoni on it.
Oh yeah, it'd be like all dressed, that one.
So I'll tell you a
Cheese.
story. I was in Lake
Okay.
Placid, Ironman, 2 loops run. I'm heading out of town on my first lap of my run. I yell at my wife at the time. I'm like, give me a pepperoni pizza when I get back, right? So she goes and waits in line for like
For the
35
next
minutes.
loop?
Yeah, right. For when I get back. Thanks, honey. So she fights all the way through line and traffic. She's getting in line. So it took her like 35 minutes to get a pizza, has the pizza box sitting there. And when I got back around, I'm like, yeah, I don't really want that anymore. The only time I didn't get a lot of congratulations after an Ironman, she was still pretty hot at the fact that I didn't eat the pepperoni pizza at the time.
I don't know if I would do it on a run, but I would definitely do it on a bike.
It's just one of those things that sounded good at the time. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? It's like
Yeah.
at the time, like I did a raspberry muffin one time in the middle of a race. It just sounded like the right thing to do at that time.
Was it?
No, it was a really bad idea.
That's what it's like. Was it a good idea and did it work for you?
No,
Yes.
this is why
Yes.
we put everything in one place in a drink. That eliminates from, honestly, we do it. It eliminates people from being knuckleheads doing like eating raspberry muffins on the bike, right?
Oh God. So I'm surprised that you had that much um uh, um like you could modify it that much at the beginning. I would have
Oh,
thought that would have been like one of the things that you would have developed
now
as you
we
went along. But that was all
honestly,
one
yeah,
product.
the platform has not changed that much. We
Wow.
really no, we were kind of pretty good. And the reason why we were is that there's a on hospital websites, anytime that they're calculating an IV for a patient, they have to make
Oh,
sure that that fluid that they're putting in your arm is isotonic. So it can't be too dense or it can't be
right.
water. If you inject
Okay.
water into your blood, that's a problem. If you inject peanut butter into your blood, that's a problem as well. So you have those are the two extremes. So there's actually what an osmolality calculator on a website. So we took that and essentially put it on our website. So we're doing oral IVs. That's not any difficult difference. We've done a lot of work with cancer patients as well,
Mm-hmm.
helping people that are critically ill because with our ability to people going through cancer and chemo have real problems with flavor sensitivity, metallic taste in their mouth. And because we have some abilities to vary that, we've been
Mm-hmm.
pretty successful working with some pretty critically ill people as well. So the platform really has not changed. The main thing
Oh,
that's
wow.
changing these days is we've been waiting for the wearables to happen. That's really been the big one for Infinit because without data, it's really difficult to find solutions. With the wearable
Right.
data that we're getting these days, which is sweat rate, sodium excretion rate, total solute of electrolyte, we're able to grab that data and create nutrition solutions based off of data now.
So how do you kill it? How do you get that? Is that through the questionnaire that you have?
We're going to start pairing up with a company called Nix, Nix, and they actually have a patch that you wear.
Oh,
And
okay.
just the more tests you do, the better accuracy you get because your sodium definitely changes day to day.
Right.
Um, so with the what we're going to be doing, you would buy the patch, test yourself, send in the data back to Infinit. We would read all that data, interpret the sweat rate, sodium, electrolyte numbers, and then create mixes based off of that data. And it's the way that things are going to be going for the next 10 years. You can kind of see this, but the wearable technology is a big thing for us because there's no other company. There's one called Precision Hydration, but they've
I've
kind of
heard
got
of
us
them, yeah.
they've got a stance which is do a sweat rate test to establish what your sodium number is and here's your solution. it's,
Right.
it doesn't work like that. Sodium is incredibly variable day to day to day to day, and unless
Mm-hmm.
you really give yourself the ability to have um, some mixes that are more customized than that, it really won't work. So that's where Infinite's at. We're in a really good spot, honestly, for the way the market's going.
Cool. Can you explain more about the sweat patch? Like and
Mm-hmm.
how it works?
Sure. So it's a patch that fully seals all the way around it.
Okay.
It by creating a separate atmosphere on your arm, um, when you sweat, and you're supposed to work out hard while you're doing it, it produces enough sweat that it's driving water through a tube through capillarity. Going back to the old science class, which is that water will run through a tube if a real thin tube. So water will drive across the tube and it just drives across a sensor that's reading a couple of things. It'll measure the volume of the total sweat rate coming through the tube, and it'll also give the total amount of particulate inside of that sweat sample. And it'll do it while you're working out right to your phone. It's pretty cool stuff.
Wow. So
Yeah.
what if you're not a big sweater? Like
Well,
you don't sweat a lot.
well,
Like just the perspiration?
yeah, if you did, they're going to probably for the best results, you're going to want to be getting into whatever your highest sweat. So that's probably inside the basement, on a
Oh,
trainer,
okay. Right.
where you're like, you know what I'm
Yes.
saying, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then that's going to give you a pretty good thing. But it's the type of thing that you ought to do in the basement. You ought to do it outside on a 70-degree day, and you ought to do or
Right.
outside in a hot day, and outside on a really hot day, right?
Okay. Yeah.
I can't put that in Celsius. So sorry.
Yeah.
Apologies.
Hot, 30 degrees.
30 something.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
yeah.
So
So
are you setting up are you asking different athletes or individuals to be part of this pilot project?
We are currently in testing with a bunch of professional race car drivers that are going to be at the Indianapolis 500 this weekend.
Oh,
So
wow.
it's kind of in coordination with the Knicks company and also a company called PitFit based out of Indianapolis. They also have another location in Charlotte, and they train all the drivers. So all the NASCAR and IndyCar guys, or a lot of them are going through sweat rate testing, electrolyte testing, and then getting mixes based off of that. So we've been in the racing kind of the drivers thing for a while. I know it's really weird, but yeah, you end up in different spots.
Well, I
But
guess so, because you don't want it just to cater to one sport group.
no,
I
and it's
mean,
besides that,
think
it's
about
yeah. I
those
mean,
guys must sweat in their
Tony
outfits.
Kanon. We got like Tony Kanon, Juan Pablo Montoya, and guys that I've been friends with for like a long time. And I like racing on top of it, so it's really fun.
I hate to ask you where the race car component came in, but where did it come?
What the yeah, no, just because I like going to racetracks and they're really fun.
Uh,
But they sweat. So there can be anywhere from 105 degrees to 140 degrees in their cockpits, and they're in four
right.
layers of clothing. And yeah, it's they sweat a ton.
Wow. Oh
Mhm.
my God, that's super cool.
Yeah.
So when are you going to start sharing that information, like next year or?
No, I would think probably by July 1st we'll be up and running on that. Maybe a little bit
Oh,
sooner.
very cool.
We're
Wow.
already doing it. If anybody in Canada has NICS tests done, they can email us the information and we can access it. So we're doing it already currently, but it'll be a much more formalized thing probably the 1st of July.
That is super cool. All
Yeah.
right, so let's switch into long endurance cycling,
Hmm.
which you are supposed to be at Unbound.
Yeah.
Like,
Reset.
boo, maybe.
Yeah.
But I am okay, so you're sending me some pouches to use. Now,
Yes.
what kind of advice can you give me as well as any other endurance athlete who's going to go? And I highly recommend you guys go to their website and do their because your questionnaire is on on your website, right?
Yeah, there's a couple of ways to access the questionnaire. Will actually create a formula for you. The way
Yeah.
I always like is to schedule a consult. I have
Yeah.
nutritionists here. That's what they do is onboard people. It's a really good educational 15 minutes that you'll spend on the phone with my person,
Okay.
where they're going to be asking you what kind of racing are you
Mm-hmm.
doing? What have you done in the past? Tell us about your history of any issues. And then based off of some pretty specific information, we'll create mixes off of that. And that also gives you a person to come back to us. If you got to tweak something 60 days down the road, you can
Right.
do that because you've got somebody here that can help. But for endurance, normally what most of our athletes do, and this is pretty much for any ultra stuff, they'll have two mixes at minimum. One is sort of their base endurance blend. That's
Okay.
high calorie, generally a little
Mm-hmm.
higher salt, but also has a small amount of protein in it.
Right.
That's the one you're running for as long as you possibly can run. That's
Okay.
for the long stuff, generally at about 10, 10, 12, 14 hours, something like that. Your belly kind of stops doing, it just says, whatever you're doing, stop that.
Yeah.
Your belly can just kind of like go, okay, I'm done with protein. And that's so I sort of, I think what happens at a certain point, your belly's just going to go, okay, I'm done with that. And they'll have a second mix that'll be no protein. And so that allows you to just clear yourself out. And in general, a lot of people will have caffeine in that second mix. So you
Okay.
run your base endurance mix for as long as you possibly can. Probably the biggest percentage of my athletes, their events are going anywhere from 10 to 24 hours. That's probably the
Right.
biggest segment. I do have a
Mm-hmm.
segment that's over 24 hours and a bunch of shorter people, but that's kind of the sweet spot for Infinite.
Mm-hmm.
So run that endurance protein as long as you can, and then switch off that to a non-protein caffeinated. And just from a psychological standpoint, to go to the, all right, I'm on my caffeine now. It's a nice, it is, believe me. I
I
know
like
you
how
know.
you fit that in, like at least 12. That's sort of like the around the morning. Kind of
Yeah.
like to need a little change.
Yeah. So that's one thing. Now, my RAM people will do a couple of different flavors just to not be drinking orange for very, very long periods of
Right.
time. So that's another idea. We have some fantastic other drinks. One is called cold brew,
Ooh,
which is it's a real cold brew coffee that's powdered, but each serving has 20 grams of protein and 100 milligrams of caffeine in like 10 ounces of water. So it's a
wow.
really nice slug of protein, caffeine, and this super delicious, really coffee forward mocha-y thing that
Mm.
work really well out there too. So we've got some coffee products that if I was looking for a treat 12, 14 hours in, that probably would be the direction I would go to. But really that kind of it. Most of my 24-hour athletes are 95% liquid. Very
Really, eh? Like 95%, because
uh,
I was going to be switching it up with some whole foods
mhm.
that, and funny enough, I am going to make some pasta. A particular kind of pasta that I've used before.
Mhm.
It's orzo, so it's very tiny, tiny, like little slivers of pasta. And
Oh,
if you let it sit after you boil they literally congeal like together. So you can like almost cut them into little bars.
yeah.
And so that with a sweet potato squeeze, like
Huh?
that sweet potato plus peanut butter, um, in like a squeezy gel, like little pack, plus other things. But those were kind of like main meals and some oatmeal packages. And I was going to use your packets. The nice thing I love about your packets is that they dissolve so quickly into the
Mhm.
water.
Yeah.
I'm Yeah, and like you don't it's almost like you don't require any shaking. It just like you put it in, it's just like it
Yeah.
just like sucks, it just like goes right in. I was like,
Well,
whoa.
when we started the company, there were a couple of hurdles. Number one, they asked us, "What colors do you want in it?" And I was like, "I don't want to put any colors in anything." That's why everything's clear, is that we
Right.
don't put any colors in anything. The other one was a kind of flavors do you want to use? And I said juices. So it's spray juice. Everything that we do is a natural. There's a couple of flavors that are non-natural, but that's only because they're not available in a natural. So all of our
Right.
stuff is sprayed juice. So that's one of them. And then the other one, which is dispersal in water, because some stuff when it mixes, it falls out. Our
It's
stuff,
like all over the place. It sticks in the
yeah, the
nozzle,
nozzle,
like
yeah.
you're just like gross. And after 10 hours, it's really gross.
Really gross. So, but with our stuff, you could fill a whole bottle right to the top with powder, add water, shake it up, and it would mix. Easy.
Whoa.
Try it. Just for giggles one afternoon. After a couple of beers on a
Yeah.
Friday
Yeah, right. So
night.
would you suggest, because I have dedicated one bottle for your product, and
Uh,
I think it's not a full liter, it's like, like a 3/4, well, maybe a smaller bottle.
like
And
600
so
mil.
yeah, probably.
Yeah.
And so how many packages would you put in there, or should I?
Well, you tell
As
me how
a
long
t
your day. First of all, tell me how long your day is going to be.
Well, I'm going for 36 hours.
Okay, so 36.
So, yeah, so um I suspect that I'm going to set myself up so that I don't really have to stop for 12 hours. And then that's where I'm going to stop and replan. So I'm going to have everything in front of me,
Yeah.
easily to access, and then I will start accessing stuff in my backpack and my like my bike bag.
So
And so
what do you write? How many bottles are you using a Camelback?
I have my Camelback, which is 2 liters plus two 1 liter plus your shaker bottle, and then I'm gonna have two 1 liters on my bike.
So if it was me and I was advising you, I would tell you to fill them all up with Infinite and drink 20 to 24 ounces an hour for your first 12 hours or more if it's going down easy. But that really is honestly, I've had guys do racing over 40 hours literally on 100% infinite. So this is
Really?
not, yeah, I'm not that
Wow.
crazy. Trust me. There was a guy just a couple of weeks ago, won a 350-mile event, or it was 34 hours, and it was straight infinite. He drank some coffee stuff as well and a couple of
Uh-huh.
recoveries as well, but he was straight liquid the whole time.
That scares me because I've never
It
done anything
is.
like
I
that.
totally get that. It's like on a trapeze with no net. I completely understand. But
Yeah.
if you had the opportunity, which you don't now, but to go do a
Mm.
12-hour ride sometime, just drinking your stuff and then seeing how you feel after, you may be kind of amazed. And I'm not saying that to
I
sell product. I really am not saying that at all to sell product. It's just liquids work and they work really, really well.
Yeah, well, I mean, I can see yours working well because there's no like it takes very little time to mix everything, because that you always think about time, like how long is it going to take. So you could just open something, you can actually ride and like, put it into your bottle and then it's ready to consume because it's dissolved already, which is just like, oof. But for me, it's just the variety, I think, and that maybe that's what everybody else would think. Like it's the variety of food you want to have kind of at your disposal for that amount of time, I'm thinking.
I
I'm
always
thinking,
think,
yeah, I don't
well,
know.
no, I don't disagree because I think redundancy is always a good idea. You know, you don't want to say, okay, my infinite is, and then not leave yourself any safety net because
Yeah.
different things happen on different days. I mean, it's your body, your body is going to be well trained, but it can get very finicky on race day. It
Uh-huh.
just can. So having some bailout, the orzo sounds delicious. I just trying to figure out what I would.
Orzo with salt.
No,
Like
was it
no,
salted? Would you do that? I
I would
was,
salt it. Yes, of
yeah, I would
course.
salt it for sure. The only,
Yeah.
yeah, I think that I really like that idea. That sounds actually pretty good, like a big clump of orzo. That
Oh,
sounds
because it
delicious.
just like, because
Yeah,
they're so tiny and they
like
just
rice.
I yeah, it's just like rice, but it's
Yeah,
not sticky like rice, but
right.
it sticks together.
Yeah.
And I did it the other day and I'm like, "Well, I really like this as a little like and a little treat." And just salt it with uh like Himalayan salt. Like just mix
There
it
you
all up and let it like congeal together and then cut it
go.
and bag it. And I'm like, okay, well, I have that and I have gummy bears and I have some, like an O. Henry bar and some beef jerky and so I'm just like, okay, as long as I have, something to eat every hour
Mhm.
that, and then throw in like a bottle like every 4 hours, then
I would be drinking a bottle an hour. I'm just telling you, I
really, I'm
it,
just like, I might even run out of water. That's what I'm thinking. Like,
see, the nice thing about it depends on your sweat rate. If your sweat rate is like
I don't
24
sweat
ounces,
very much.
okay, so let's say your sweat rate's 16 to 20 ounces an hour, because it'll be that much because it's dry
Yeah.
and
It's wet.
you'll
It's
lose that much
hot.
water.
Yeah.
If you're drinking 16 to 20 ounces an hour of Infinite, then you don't have to use water. I mean, Infinite's more hydrating than what water is not hydrating like a
I
quality.
know. It's like, yeah.
Yeah.
So I was going to bring like my bladder with just water in it because, I might want to put something on my face,
Yeah.
just rinse off or whatever.
I would do Infinite in the bladder and water in one of the bottles.
Water in one of the bottles. Okay,
Yeah,
I
because
think I'm gonna do that.
You got 2 liters. That's going to be 80 ounces. That's going to be 1,200 calories on your back. That's a lot
Whoa.
of that's a lot of value for your day.
So
So,
how many packages would I put in there?
well, four.
Four. Okay.
Yeah, so 80 ounces, 420-ounce servings. I would put 4 packets inside of there, have one infinite on one side, or you could even do something else, but I'd have water in your bottle just in case you want to rinse your mouth out.
Yeah, exactly. Wipe some sweat off my face.
Yeah, but just think about that. You've got on, just with, over 1,000 calories in your backpack. And
Yeah, that's a good 10 hours of like sipping on it for
correct.
sure. So I hope everybody's getting some good content out of this. I know I am, but I, because no, honestly, Um, I think stuff like this, and I've tried a lot of different types of packaging and gels and I was amazed at when I tried yours on Barry Roubaix race day that it went down so well and that I did not have more with me. Just like
Yeah.
I just bought one.
No, we are totally legit. I mean, we're measuring calories to body size predominantly, electrolyte to sweat rate, and history of muscle cramping. And then once you kind of got that done, the nutrition puzzle should be a lot simpler for you. It doesn't have to be complicated. It just people make it complicated generally because they're trying to sell you stuff. That's
Yeah,
somewhat true.
and I really like the fact that, and this is for everybody. So if you haven't checked out Infinite Nutrition, go check it out. They have a questionnaire, and I met Mike. I saw Mike again this year at Barry Roubaix, and this is where we connected truly. And at the time, he had us fill out a questionnaire on so personal questionnaire on like our activity, our sweat rate, and all these interesting questions. Then, or was it a slide bar? Was it a slide
For the
bar?
flavor, it was on the flavor one.
Yeah. And then what happens is saved and it's sent to their nutritionist, and their nutritionist reaches out and has put together a personal formula for me, which is super cool. And I'm looking forward to that formula. Um, and so then they'll mix up the packages and send it off to you. So can you share more like about maybe about the formula process and how is it like an account that you create so then you can go back and you can adjust it and reorder more products? Is that how?
Yep. Yeah, you once you create an account, you can create as many different types of formulas as you want. There are athletes
Mm,
that are do all kinds of different racing, so they'll do
right.
an hour crit race and also do real endurance stuff. So they'll have
Uh-huh. Okay.
areas. Plus, we have a whole customized protein part of the website as well. So protein is a big part of our business. We have the fueling, which is the during activity.
Yeah.
But for lifestyle and post recovery, we have custom
Oh,
protein. So you can select from your protein. We have great vegan options as far as a protein source for our recovery stuff. We offer egg, a blend of 3 different proteins, or a whey isolate. You can do things like double the amount of protein where you're getting 40 grams of protein per serving. You can go low carb, high carb, and add a bunch of other really cool stuff like curcumin, CoQ10, sourberry extract in
no
order to
way.
custom. Yeah, it's wicked cool. It's
Oh my
wicked.
God. Okay, so let's talk about lifestyle. Forget about
Yep.
all the endurance stuff. For everybody else.
Mhm,
Let's
mhm.
let's like get right into that because I did not realize you had lifestyle stuff because
Yeah.
we only think about that it's only for athletes, right? And this could and your products are for everybody. So let's talk about like, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay.
100%,
Let's
especially
talk
because
about that.
yeah, women's diets, right? My wife is a podcaster and she's always talking about 100 grams a day, 100 grams a day, 100 grams a day of protein, and
Uh-huh. At
how
least. Yeah.
mission critical that is for bone density, osteoporosis,
Mm-hmm.
osteopenia, all those things that you have to fight when you're getting older. Plus,
Osteoarthritis. Yeah.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
all that
Weight,
stuff.
weight, weight management.
So
Mm-hmm.
we put together, I mean, there's some other companies that kind of do custom protein, but they don't do custom protein like we do, which is you truly can select your protein source, pick your flavor, adjust your flavor level, just like you do with all of our Infinit products. So it tastes like how you want it to taste. And taste is a big key for what we do because
Mm-hmm.
strengths are too strong and weight all that allows people to go much lighter flavor.
That that's so when I tasted yours, I swear to God, I must have downed it so fast. I was like, wow, this is really good. I kept on drinking. I'm like, dang, it's empty. It was like really surprisingly super good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that had almost 300. I had over 300 calories in a bottle. That stuff good.
Yeah.
The berry blend. Yeah, Mark Allen kind of and Friel said the same thing, which was that our stuff is weird because there's flavor there, but you're not sure where it is. But you know this, the longer you go, the more your smell, you change, your taste perceptions completely change. When somebody
Yeah.
drives past you with smoking a cigarette, you can smell it. You know, your sense of smell and everything is super heightened. So what the stuff that tastes at the beginning and the good in the beginning of the ride is like way too
Mm-hmm.
strong. So you want very mild, especially for the endurance events. So anyway, that got back to that. But
Yeah. Let's go lifestyle. Yeah.
on the protein side, flavor, you can go low carb, regular carb, or high carb. If you're just had a big training volume day, you want as much carbohydrate, as much protein as you can get down. You can double protein, and so that's getting up to 40 grams of protein per serving.
Ooh,
And
wow.
then you can customize it further by adding sourberry extract, which is really high antioxidant value, curcumin, we have CoQ10, and a bunch of really cool stuff that are anti-inflammatory,
Mm-hmm.
that you can add to your stuff. Then you've got your own personal protein blend that you have for your day, and that could be just mixing with smoothies, that could be post workout, could be for anything.
Oh, okay.
Yes, it's very cool.
Wow. So would you consider any one of those a meal replacement?
Not in the truest sense of meal
Okay.
replacement, because that we would have to put a lot more vitamins and
Vitamins in it.
minerals in there, and we typically stay away from that. We're putting the basics, okay? We're putting,
Right.
3 different types of carbohydrates, amino acids. We're using glutamine, isoleucine, valine, and there's one other one I'm forgetting. And then we're using a lot of macronutrients, but we don't use any of the B's or the D's or the C's or the
Right.
E's.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. I have to take a closer look,
Yeah.
honestly. I think we should all take a closer look
Indeed.
at because I'm kind of looking for something different these days. And I think I might have just found it.
It's
I do
really,
have a meal, yeah, I do have a meal replacement product that I like. I would never put it in my bottle, but just because it's too creamy. Um,
yeah.
but I like the fact that this is available not only um, for racing, but as an extension to lifestyle nutrition.
Yeah. And we're
Because
going
I
to be,
think that's important that
yeah,
you can get the two together
we
in one
have,
spot.
yeah, we're going to be adding here relatively soon, collagen as an option, as one of the
Oh,
ads
really?
too. Mhm. And
Talk about
then
that.
what's that?
Talk about that.
Well, no, it's just I'm aware of the collagen because, again, I'm back to my wife, but she's the one that
Uh-huh.
uses collagen all the time, and it just would be a great ad that we could put in with a protein drink that doesn't taste like anything. And then the
Yes.
other one is fruits and vegetables, as we are going to have kind of be able to add greens, some type of a green something into it for vegetables as well.
Whoa, now that's
Mhm.
exciting
Yeah,
because we all know we don't get enough greens, and now it's almost unaffordable to buy.
yeah.
And so powdering it and putting it in smoothies, shakes, water, whatever is becoming
How's groceries
like
in Canada?
uh,
Expensive?
yeah,
Yeah,
they're
they're
pretty
not great down here.
expensive.
Yeah.
You
And
got to be selective. You really do.
yeah, and the
Uh,
selection is not what it used to be. It doesn't seem like either.
no, that's why I'm getting more into my gardening.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah. So yeah, that's on the list. Really paying attention and doing a much better job at it, I think. Keeping my chickens out. That's one thing.
My neighbors
But
are.
after Unbound, I have infinite time because I've not put anything else on the schedule until September.
Yeah.
So
I'm excited to see how you do. I'm excited to see how you do.
I am really, Michael, I'm really I'm really excited about this. I mean, I've been visualizing a lot of it. We got our maps and I started mapping it out on a big atlas map
Mhm.
so that you get the big picture and then you start chunking it down to little, increments.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, like I adventure race, like 36 hours was one of our shortest races. Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Like
Who,
I've
what
done 4 day, 6 day, 8 day.
what races did you do?
Well, the ones in the States, I did Primal Quest.
Okay.
So, because you said you adventure raced.
I did. It was one, I don't remember the series, but it was down in like the West Virginia border.
Okay. Well, my
Okay.
my husband's done more like international, like up in Switzerland and like I've done one in the States in Florida. I did one in Florida. That was a 10-hour race, 12-hour race. Anyways, it was in like kind of like the Everglades. It was really cool. And then Primal Quest was in Utah,
Yeah.
like July,
Yeah.
Moab.
Yeah. I can no, I had friends of mine that did the original Eco Challenge like in around 90.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Yeah, that's what prompted us all up to
they
get
did one
started.
in BC,
Hmm.
they did one of the eco challenges in BC, and this would have been 89, 90, 91, something like that. And the only thing I remember him telling me it was that they had to climb these scree fields where it
Oh,
was again nothing but rock at about 33 degrees or something like that. And he just said you go up 3 steps and then slide 2 feet back and have rocks just coming all over your ankles and hands. I'm like, well, that doesn't sound
oh
like
my gosh.
any fun whatsoever. I mean, I had a lot of respect and met some of those guys over the years, but that kind of, it's really cool, but I'm not sure I could do it. It's like climbing Mount Everest. I
Yeah,
could, but
it's
I just
it's
don't know if
not
I want to.
it's not for the faint of heart, that's for
No
sure. You
doubt.
really cannot be a complainer.
No, absolutely not.
The big difference about this and that and Unbound is I would say like Unbound is like one discipline
Yeah.
where the nice thing about adventure racing or even Ironmans is like you get to break it up, right?
Mhm.
And then you're by yourself, where racing you're with a team of like three other people. So you have people to talk to. Yeah. So that
Yeah,
I
and
mean those are
the
the
downside is that you have 3 other people that you have to talk to too. That's the
yeah,
other.
and take care of.
Yeah, no
So
kidding.
yeah, but yeah, so I'm kind of excited. It's kind of like jumping back into adventure race mode and like preparation and training and
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
I've only been able to get in as much riding as I can in between everything, and I've got to hope that that's going to be enough for me. But I think at the end of the day, it's going to be the nutrition, the bike mechanics, like everything else that I have to worry about
Mhm.
besides, um, yeah, to get to the finish
I
line.
always feel like that a lot of it too is that I have to make that mental hurdle
Hmm.
where I kind of go into a zone where you're going to have to kill me to stop.
Oh yeah,
You know what I mean? And
exactly.
I mean, like you're going to have to hit me with it upside the head with a 2x4. I'm not stopping. I could have limbs dangling off my body. I'm not going to stop.
Yeah, well, that's usually how I tackle like any kind of event. Like I'm not going to stop until I finish like start cross the finish line unless it's like something critical. So I would absolutely hate, knock on wood, to be taken out by a mechanical that I cannot
Yeah, that would suck.
fix.
Yeah.
I've had lots of mechanicals, but things that I cannot like literally fix.
Hmm.
Um, yeah,
That's not going to happen this year.
no, that's not going to happen.
Not going to happen.
Knock on wood.
I'm knocking on it.
So where can everybody find you, Michael? Or
Infinite,
find Infinite?
infinitenutrition.us. We also
Mm.
are producing out of Prague in Europe, and we
Oh,
have
wow.
Infinite Australia as well. So we're producing not worldwide, but kind of moving in that direction.
Slowly but surely, right?
Slowly but surely, world dominance. Yep, that's us. And then, but we're based out of Cincinnati, Ohio. We're out and about around the races all the time. So hopefully I can see somebody out there. But the easiest thing to do, just come to the website, sign up for a consult, and we'll take care of the rest. You don't really need to know anything. We'll call you and take care of it. So there we go.
That's awesome. And I see you're on Facebook.
Yes.
And are you on Instagram?
Yeah, I'm sure we are on Instagram. I am the least.
That is not your realm, obviously.
No, it's not my forte. It is not, Sylvie. I'm occasionally on it, but I do it very reluctantly for the most part.
Now, is there any place where people can see what events you are going to be at?
If any newsletter, if you sign up for our newsletter, you'll find out where we're going to be.
Oh,
so
okay, perfect.
The website, yeah, we're pretty good about making sure that everybody lets know. Like last weekend, we were up south of Columbus, Ohio, at American Triple T, which is kind of a IRONMAN over 3 days, which is a really cool event. We were supposed to be at Unbound, and we're going to be at a bunch of other events this year too. So we'll be around.
Excellent. Yeah, so I encourage you guys to sign up for their newsletter so that you can make a point of going to meet Michael at their tent and trying some samples, if that's how you want to start. But otherwise, find them on their website and check out their questionnaire and their products. I highly, highly recommend. So I just want to thank you so much, Michael, for your time. I'm glad we got this podcast in the books, and I really look forward to using your products now that I know more about them.
So it was nice talking.
Get them in my body.
Yeah, and I will tell you, drink more. Drink more.
Okay,
drink more.
I will.
You'll feel better. Trust me.
I think I should kind of notice that when I was racing. I was like, wow.
Yeah, drink more. You'll feel better.
Yeah, drink. I know. It's funny how that works. Yeah. So thanks everybody for staying tuned on this episode. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram and on our YouTube channel, where you can watch both of us live throughout the interview. So thanks everyone. Have an amazing day, and make sure you ride your bike. Right, Mike?
Absolutely. Ride your bikes.
All right. Take care, everyone. All right, friends. There you have it. Michael from Infinit. I don't know if you got as excited as I did about their nutrition and how it's not only fitness and performance based, but also lifestyle based. Because I was serious. I am looking for another system to start using. I've been using one system for over 10 years, and things have been shifting on that end. That, their products that I loved once are no longer in existence, and they've switched things around, and I'm just not a big fan anymore. And so it's really hard replacing something that you like so much. And that you find out it's going to be good. So I am really excited about looking further myself into these products, and I'm also really looking forward to using Infinit Nutrition on my Unbound experience. And I'm really excited knowing that I don't have to carry as much water, knock on wood, with regards to using their highly nutritious products. So with that, go check it out, go follow us, and we'll see you on the next episode. Take care, everyone. Have an amazing day. Bye. Thank you so much for spending this time with me on the Secrets from the Saddle podcast, learning more about sighting people, places, and things that make cycling such an exciting sport. I am so glad you stopped by today. Please leave me a review if you feel so moved to do so. I would love to hear your feedback. And if you could take 1 second to share this episode with someone you think would enjoy it, I would be forever grateful.
Also, if you could please leave me a review if you feel so moved by going to iTunes and leaving me an honest thought and an honest comment, telling me what you think, and most importantly, tell me what you'd like to hear more of. It would really help me to bring more great, inspiring cycling stories to you. Until then, have an amazing day. Make sure you ride your bike. And don't forget to visit my YouTube channel if you'd like to see the full version of this podcast live.